today I'm gonna be planting a tree, and it just so happens to be in line with Earth Day. Earth Day is like 3 days from now. Let me show you what we've got. We've got this tulip poplar right here that was planted in 2019. We're in 2025 right now. And there was some digging that went on over here. And this tree was super healthy, super fast growing, and that digging killed it last year. Anyways, I went out this morning and I went to the local nursery. Pickings were slim, but we got a tree. Look at this beast, guys. I went out there trying to get a container tree, like a 25-gallon container tree, 8 foot tall or something. That's why I didn't bring a trailer or nothing. They had kind of slim pickings, wasn't really what I was looking for, but I had to go with this monster. This is a 14.5 foot tall willow oak. So usually planting a tree isn't that bad, but that thing weighs a huge amount. I'm gonna have to use the tractor. And this tree has been in the ground long enough. It is solid as a rock, and it's fairly large down in there. We quit doing anything down here with it once it died, as far as mulch or anything. But what I wanted to show y'all, this little area down here used to flood. This is where our chickens are. And we did some excavation down here several years ago. And we put in a swale down here and a pipe under the driveway. But before that, it used to flood down here. And some of these older trees, that flooding killed some of them. One up there, I think it was one over here. But anyway, so what we wanted to do was reestablish some trees. Now I'm a tree person, but I'm not like, this is not a how-to video on how to plant a tree or what species to pick out or anything. But we planted that tree, pin oak, maple, that's a willow oak, same tree we just got. These things are super fast growing, and they're good in low-lying areas where there's a lot of moisture and stuff, and that's what this is. I mean, look at that thing. It is a beast. It was planted in 2019. Nowhere near that big when we planted it. And we have an oak tree here, and then back there is going to be the willow oak that we're planting. This is just a normal, this is a Shumard oak right here. I've been thinking about like 3 things that I can say this channel is about. And I was trying to think of what they are, and I finally came up with it. It's small scale farming, rural property maintenance, and DIY. I think that's gonna be kind of my gig. How this fits into all that is obviously rural property maintenance, but I kind of think like homesteading too. Like, we had bought this place and it was a blank slate. I mean, none of the fence, none of this stuff was here. None of the trees, none of that was here. And we had to go through and establish all that. And what I wanted to drive home in this video was one thing that we did right was we planted trees almost immediately moving into this homestead. Because, you know the saying, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago? Well, I kind of knew that and took it to heart, and that's what we did. And now, 10, 11 years later of living here, we're reaping the benefits. I'll just quickly show you some stuff that we've planted. But this whole line of trees here, fruit trees, wasn't here. 2 pears, peach, another peach, some apple trees, and on up above that, some bigger apple trees. Nice thing about doing that right away, it's quicker time to get fruit. There's a swamp white oak I planted. So right down here at our entrance, this is a 2-lane road right here. This was just a hay field. There was no fencing, no nothing here. So it just went to that ditch, just completely with grass. And we put in all these trees here, and we've had to replace some. See, that's the thing. The earlier you start too, then, you know, some of them are gonna die and you're gonna have to replace them. Some of those magnolias are really starting to get some size. They don't have leaves on them right now, guys. Some of these trees, it's a little too early. So I wish they did, otherwise they look a lot bigger than they are. So as I drive up along our driveway, these trees were not planted as soon as we moved in, but they're cherry trees. They've been planted in the last, well, that tree was moved last year. It was in a different spot. That tree's been there maybe 3 years, but they're Yoshino cherries. It's the cherries that are part of the Cherry Blossom Festival, like in DC, and they are just super pretty when they're blooming. So one of the other things we did, it was actually a wedding thing, but we planted this crepe myrtle here in 2015. And man, if it had leaves on it, you would see, but this thing is massive for no longer than it's been in there. But story on this was, we did that thing where we got this crepe myrtle, and it was probably only up to like here when we bought it. And I'm from Virginia, my wife's from Maryland, so during the wedding ceremony, we took Virginia soil and Maryland soil, and this small crepe myrtle was setting in a pot up front, and our parents mixed the soil, and that was kind of what we did for our wedding. But this thing is beautiful. It's pink and white. It's 2 colors. But there again, getting it in early, reaping the benefits now. Up here is some apple trees I was talking about. This one, I don't remember when it was planted. It was one of the originals. It's a large tree, and we have been getting apples off this thing for several years. Looks like we got some caterpillars to take care of. But yeah, I mean, that's a sizable tree. This one died, and we've had 2 or 3 apples we've tried to establish there since, and I don't know if we just didn't put as much attention into it or what. I think some of it now, there's such a size difference. This one shades this one, so anyways, this one was planted this year to try to get that one established. So I'm on my way down here to show y'all another tree that I planted, and I wanted to point these out. These are 2 oaks there and there. I think that one is too. And these things are massive. And I mean, that's a big, rather big walnut tree. And it just looks small compared to these guys. And size doesn't come up good on camera, but I can't even get in there hardly. But man, look at these beasts. And here's that second tree. But man, they are huge. So this is the last tree I wanted to show y'all. This is a white oak right there that I planted in 2020. This is kind of a recreational area. There's a fire pit down there, and we camp down here and stuff with friends. But this tree, well, let me get out and show you. This tree is probably bigger than it looks. I made this mulch thing huge, A, to encompass that rock, and B, just so it's a one and done. As the tree gets older, I don't have to keep increasing the size. But this oak is just now coming out with leaves, and white oaks are notoriously slow growing. And what happened was, I went to the same place I just got that tree today in 2020. I call this the COVID tree because I planted it. I mean, it was April of 2020. Everybody was in a tailspin over everything. And I told the lady down there, I said, I want a big stately tree for a wide open area. And this was what we came up with. And I said, you know, I want it to last a lifetime. Maybe I can pass it down and that kind of thing. And people can say, yeah, Ryan planted that tree. So that's what we ended up with. And it has grown, even though they are slower growing. I mean, it's like 6 inches in diameter now, and it was like 3 when I planted it. When it has leaves on it, it's definitely quite a bit bigger looking. But I say all that to say, I decided to put one down here in 2020. We moved into this property. We bought this property in 2014. I could have planted that tree 6 more years before I did and had that much more growth on it. And the idea was, you know, the branches, it will eventually get to be a big tree, and the branches will kind of come over here and get close to the fire pit and everything. I'm kind of proud of this tree. I really like it. But what I need to figure out now is So I need to figure out how to get that old tree, that old tulip poplar out of that spot, that dead one. I'm gonna get the tractor out. I was really hoping I could put a chain around the tree and lift straight up with the loader, but I think it's too established for that. I think I'm gonna try that first. Then once I get that done, hopefully there's a decently sizable hole and it ain't gonna be a ton of digging to put that new tree in. First thing I'm doing is I'm taking my DEWALT pruners and I'm going through and I'm pretty much plucking all the limbs off of them just so I have an area to get in here and work. I mean, this thing will really cut some stuff. I mean, look at that compared to my finger there. Let me see. It's probably, everything's too tall to really give you an idea now, but you gotta do it a couple times. There you go. Hey, look at that. Definitely awesome thing to have, I tell you. That's a small one, but the other thing is, I mentioned, I made a video just about these if you want to go out there and watch it. But it's too tall now, but nice thing is versus regular loppers and different things, because these are pretty much just as powerful as the big long-handled loppers. With this, you can hold, one hand holds this and the other hand can hold the branch. So I'm gonna try the easiest method first, which is the tractor. And I'm gonna try to push the tree a little, loosen it up, and then I think I'm gonna then lift it with the loader. This tree has been here 6 years, but it died last year, so, you know, technically it has like 5 years of growth, but they grow fast. If I wanted to get on that other side and push it back this way, I think that would really help. But it's kind of nicer yard over there, and that's where that swale is. I mean, it's fairly loose. Let's hook a chain to it. So I've literally got like a 3/8 by 20-foot chain here. So that's kind of annoying. Let's see what happens. I don't think this will do it, but well, my tractor the back of my tractor's coming up. It moved more than I thought. Let me go from the other side and push on it some, and then we'll try to lift it again. Let's see if we can break the roots on it from this direction. Maybe that'll loosen it up enough. I don't want it to break. So we'll try the chain, but unfortunately the tree is cracked on the bottom, so I don't think it's going to work. I think it's going to snap it off. Man, if I had my barrel ballast on here, I believe I could get it. What you're not seeing is my rear rear tires are coming off the ground, so I can't put full pressure on it. Man, it's actually not snapping, which would be awesome if I can keep it like that. So I found a pretty healthy root here. This one's already broken. This one is pretty daggone thick. And I'm gonna see if these will do it since I just got them down here. Yeah. All right. I mean, that ought to make a big difference right there, I would think. Let's see what happens now. Man, my rear end is still coming up. And I think we could get it if that wasn't the case. Let me see if there's a root like that on the other side. Well, I can tell you, for only being in the ground 5 years, this tree was healthy. And I'm convinced that they were digging 4 feet around it with an excavator, 4 feet deep. And the hole was left open for 2 months. So I think that was half the problem. Look at this big one here. I mean, and it was this side that was hanging up, so I think we'll be good. It's amazing how strong these pruners are. Man. I was wedged in there. So much pressure on that root. All right. And I feel like we ought to get it now. So it was that back right wheel that was coming up because it's kind of on a hill. So I figured I'd move the camera over there and show y'all, but hopefully we can get it out right now. That was a big root we cut. Still wanting to pull my tires up, but I hear stuff snapping and breaking. Man. All right, I see where our root is. It's back over here near the blue bucket right there. Man, it's so close. Well, no wonder it was hung up on this side. Check these roots out. There's 3, 1, 2, and 3 that's not been cut, or not been affected by the tractor. All right, let's cut that one. Whew. All right, I've got pressure on the loader, so it kind of let the pressure off. If we don't get it now, something's wrong. All right, gosh, look at the roots on that thing. It's only been in the ground, only been living 5 years. And it was not a big tree when we started. So I got most of the topsoil off the tree there, but I wanted to show you, when I was pushing on it, I cracked the tree and I thought that was gonna be game over for lifting it out. It's cracked all the way around right here. And if that would have happened, it would have been a whole lot harder to, I mean, you only would have had that much sticking up. So I would have had to have, done all these roots by hand with a shovel and stuff. But anyways, let's get it out of here and get the new one in. I've done a little bit of digging here. Really didn't take too much, but I measured the root ball on the new tree and got this pretty about right. You kind of only get one chance, as heavy as these trees are. I mean, once you plop it down in there, you don't want to go plucking it out with the loader or anything. But I didn't have to do a whole lot of digging, or it was kind of easy just because it already broke up. But right now, I got to figure out how to get this tree off the truck by myself. This is what I came up with. Got a strap pretty wide, and I got it hooked to the loader here. What I want to do is pull the root ball up to here, and then I can use my forks to pick up the tree and place it in the hole. I tell you, when you do these holes, guys, probably the biggest mistake with planting trees. I mean, I made it when I started. Maybe that tree even sucked them to it, I don't know. But the biggest mistake is planting them too deep. So when you're digging, you're like, man, that just doesn't look very deep. But you got to stop yourself. I have one truck that has the hard plastic bed liner that's super slick, and I have this truck which has a Line-X in it, which is meant to be not slick. And I find 50% of the time you need a slick one, and 50% of the time the not slick one's better. So it's kind of funny. In this case, the hard plastic would be a little better. Let me get up there and make sure no damage is happening. No, it's holding fairly good back there. The tree's got the wire on the bottom of it. So as I pull this tree off the truck, you guys are going to get the first listen to the channel jingle. I had told my friend the other day that he plays guitar. I told him I needed a little channel jingle. Within a few hours, this is what he came up with. I thought it was awesome. It fits the channel name and where we live and all that very well. So anyways, I wanted to share this with y'all. And I'll tell you what, you just can't beat a good friendship.
Up on the mountain, down on the farm, living each day in my country charm. Ain't no other place I'd rather be. Life on the farm is the only life for me. Shenandoah River and the Blue Ridge Pine, heading down the valley on an old skyline. Ain't no other place I'd rather be. Life in the valley is the only life for me.
Man, it is just wanting to go to the side. All right. Tell you what, it's one heck of a tree. This is how they put it in the truck with the track loader. Might need to narrow them up. All right, perfect. You can actually feel the weight of that thing on the tractor. Anyways, it's amazing how stable it is. Let's go put it in the hole. Now, here's gonna be the trick. Getting this right exactly where we need it, because I tell you, trying to move it afterwards is almost impossible. This is pretty much the hardest part, other than getting that old tree out. And then once we get it in there, we're good to go. I have done this before, by the way, with another tree, and it pretty much went in right away. Actually, it was that tree down in our recreation area that had a big root ball like this. Okay, it is moving. Whew. Can y'all see that? Man. All right. I got to back the tractor up, and I think we'll be good. Hopefully I can use the height of the tree as leverage. I tell you, that thing is heavy. And it's 88 degrees out here today. So, it's another thing. Not humid though. It's still early in the year. Perfect. Look at that. I think that height's gonna be good too, because you really don't want to plant these things too deep. I mean, I probably could have dug a hair deeper, but I think that'll be good. I'm just gonna go along here and fill in around here with this topsoil that came out of the hole. I'll go this week after work and get some mulch for in there. But right now, I need to open up that canopy from where they got baling twine on there. Let's see if this will get me high enough. All right. Well, that wasn't too bad. I wanted to show y'all a little tip that I think is a pretty decent one. So years ago, when we were doing trees, I would use stakes like this. And you can get them from Lowe's. They're pretty heavy duty because you're buying these big trees, right? We live in a windy area, and these are pressure treated, pretty big around, but they rot up. This, I don't even have this tree connected. It's old enough now, it doesn't need it. But they rot at the ground, and then you can just push them off and just be done with it. Well, I got the idea. I said, you know what? I said, I'm gonna use T-post. And that way, when I'm done with all these trees, I'll just have all these T-posts that I can use for around the farm. And what I did was all these trees, all them fruit trees, all the stuff, I put these T-posts in. So they do work, and they work awesome, but I made a big mistake, and there's one thing you gotta watch out for. When you're driving them in, make sure you don't drive this foot below the surface level at all. When I was doing it, I was like, man, I'm gonna really make me a strong situation here that'll last out any windstorm and whatever, and I would drive them like up to here. Well, what happens is tree roots grow over this, and then you can't pull them out. You either damage your tree or you literally can't pull them out. There was several I had to take a metal cutting blade on my Sawzall and just cut flush with the ground. So you can use them, and they're awesome and they're reusable, but just put that thing dead flush with the ground. That way roots can't grow over it. So I learned this from my father-in-law, and it's great. We were planting trees one time, and he showed up here with this stuff. And I forget what it's exactly called now, plastic tree ties or something, but it's adjustable. So it goes in like this, you get it tight, and then you turn it like that. The nice thing is, one, it's wide enough it doesn't eat into your trees. Two, it's adjustable. If you notice it's loose, just come up and tighten it up another one. Way better than baling twine or a wire with water hose around it or whatever. And then what I do is I get it here like this, and then I don't know exactly that the tree's level yet. That'll be like a last minute thing, but we'll kind of pre-tension it. All right, I'll get it in there With these tall trees, guys, I've found you've just got to stake them. All right, so there you go. There's one last step to it that I've found over the years. If you leave it like that, this backside can go up and down like this, even with the nub there. So I'll show you what I do. This was the one left over from the old tree, and I had 2 on it. But anyways, just take a zip tie, toss it on the backside here. See, it's on there too. And that way it can't go up and down and slip on you. I'll link that stuff in the description. There's a company I can't think of right now, but it was what I was getting, and it's really good. The other thing is it's reusable to an extent. I mean, everything I put on there today is just stuff I've reused. So, you know, eventually it'll break down because it's plastic, but I mean, this is several years old. So I want to give y'all a final look before I put the watering bags on it. But man, I think it turned out really good, and it matches the size roughly of the other trees. It's not quite as big as a round, but if I would have bought a little container tree, it would have been a lot smaller. But anyways, this is it. I think it turned out really well. One of the things that makes it to where you can do these trees on a homestead, like I don't have water down here. There's no way I could get water down here, is tree bags. And I'll link some in the description that I use. Typically I use Treegator, which I believe is made in the USA. There's all kind of knockoffs now, but I think Treegator was basically the original. You see them in like municipalities on the median strip of trees and all that, so they don't have to water all the time. And the idea is they hold a bunch of water and they release water slowly so it doesn't run off the area. And for a small tree, you can use 1 bag, and that holds like 15 to 17 gallons of water. That's just from memory. But you can also zip together 2 bags. This will make more sense when you see it, but you can zip 2 bags together. And you would think, okay, well, 15 gallons times 2 would be 30 gallons. Well, because those bags with 2 aren't as tight of a circle, they're more open, they hold 50 gallons of water. My 4-wheeler tank holds 25, technically 26 gallons per tank. So the nice thing with the 50 gallons is 2 trips does exactly 2 bags. So here's a Treegator bag with 2 of them. So with a larger tree like this, it's nicer to have 2. But see where it zips together? So 1 would just be this right here. There's another zipper over here. And 1 bag, this is where you fill it. See, it's Treegator. But 1 bag would just go around here and you know, go even tighter. But when you put 2 together, 1 bag's 15 gallons, like I said. When you put 2 together, it's literally 50 gallons of water. I mean, I can prove it. But, you know, it just releases water slowly over time and really gets your tree established. I really don't know how you would do it without it, honestly. So I have a 26 gallon 4-wheeler tank. We use it for spraying our hay field and all kinds of other stuff as well. But we also use it for just water. And I have basically a short length of garden hose. I got the Treegators here. And on the drain of this thing, it just comes with a cap normally. But I put a 45 on here. All right. So you screw this on. I have been doing this for many years. I'd hate to know how many gallons of water I've hauled with this thing. Crack the lid to vent it. It does vent anyways, but it goes faster with it cracked. And then you'll see it come out here. There you go. I've already done 1 tank of these, so that'd be 26 gallons. And like I say, 2 tanks would be 50 plus gallons. So, and that's what it takes. I mean, you can see it down there. So I'll catch up with y'all here in a minute. Well, there you have it. I've got 50 gallons of water on my new Willow Oak tree here. You know what? And I put it in just in time for Earth Day. And you know, there's really nothing more Earth Day than just sitting out here and watching this fill up, listening to the birds chirp, looking at all the tree buds coming out, and you can't see them now. Well, you might see the goats back there, but watching the goats and the cows on a nice green pasture, you gotta love it. So anyways, guys, I appreciate y'all watching this video. I'll put some more videos up here that I think you'll enjoy, and I'll catch you next time.